We'll start recording on my end too, and then I'll start recording right there. So, first things first, legalese, name and title, please.
Gaylene Rhoden.
And
Title is Village Administrator.
yes, indeed, you've already got that switched to Village Administrator. So where are we at then, as far as everything else goes in the transition process?
Oh, it's ongoing. It's gonna be ongoing for a while now. So what's happening is yesterday we had our first village board meeting, and what we did was, it's kind of interesting. We had to swear in. I forgot how they entitled it, but basically the interim trustees, and then they did the regular appointments that we've always had as part of our ordinance for the treasurer, the clerk, the assessor, the attorney, etc. So they did that, and then they reappointed some of the regular staff people that was recommended by legal. So myself and the director of community development and street and park superintendent, we were appointed as well last night. They did that. And then also they did pass the first of the two ordinances that we need to get taken care of. Actually, there's 3 ordinances we need to take care of. And one of them is just for the general government, which identifies the number of trustees and the positions of trustee and president, and positions like the assessor and the administrator, etc. So those are the kind of basics. So that was a pass last night by the village board. And then coming up, they'll have another meeting in August 15th will be the next village board meeting. There is going to be discussion again on some of the committees and commissions establishment. So that's the next big one. And then also because of incorporation, we are now responsible for some of the other things that used to fall under Marathon County that would deal with floodway and et cetera. So some of those shoreland zoning, those are the kind of things that we need to yet take care of.
So I guess what the public would need to know right now is their representatives, their elected officials are the same. It's the same people on the board, but that actually has to kind of be in a way confirmed through another election. And then there's also going to be the opportunity for somebody who might say, hey, I want to get involved, to go ahead and run for one of those seats, correct?
Yeah, so it's a really short turnaround time from the time that we got certified. It is a really short time period between, like, we couldn't hold the election earlier than 40 days, but no more than 50 days. So again, that kind of cuts down the amount of time that we can actually have that election. And with the coordination with the county clerk, because actually the county clerk runs, in the sense, that particular election. So it is a real tight frame. We're talking Tuesday, September 5th would be the day of the election.
And how do people, I'm sure papers are already being circulated for that right now, but how do people, if they want to get involved, do they still have time to do that?
Yep. Again, it's very fast turnaround time. They would need to contact the county clerk's office. They have paperwork there. I believe I would defer to our village clerk on the information, because I believe some of the info is actually available online. And because the election is based off of number of people who voted in the actual referendum, so typically it's a little bit different on a normal regular election cycle, whether it's a town board member, supervisor, or a village trustee, because this time around it's actually based on the number of people who voted in the election for the number of signatures that are required. So we learned that along the way. And so it requires a 66 minimum signature to run for office.
All right. That's all I've got. So if Mason, you want to go ahead and go right ahead.
So yeah, I wanted to add in, and especially as a citizen of Red Mountain, living over there.
Oh, very good.
Yes, I'm one of yours. So I wanted to just check, is there anything, now granted, this might be further down the line once everything's in place as a village, are there going to be big changes that homeowners are going to see? Like, will their mailing addresses change? Is there going to be renumbering, things along those lines that people need to know about?
No, nothing really on that. And that part of it's really going to change. Most of that stuff will stay the same. There isn't any Obviously, if they wanted to change the address, that's something the village board could do, but from my understanding, based on costs, that would actually be costs on the village itself. So I'm not sure if anybody wants to go back and forth again. So that's not something that's being entertained at this point. So that's outside of that. Again, one of the biggest changes that we have seen, for example, is we are seeing like the Rib Mountain Sanitary District actually ceases to exist. So that was actually a separate governing body. So there is, they're going to exist, but it would be different this time around. And naturally, they fall with us. So it's actually considered under the village. But
So-
yeah, it happens. It should be pretty smooth as far as any changes. Nobody really can see things, and it should be happening without any hiccups. Yeah.
I was about to say, so is that because that's right by the sanitary district is where I live back on by Hummingbird. Not to give everybody my home address, but I guess so. Is that building still going to stay there? It's like shifting around from how the bills are being paid.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're working with staff down there. Obviously, they still have functions that need to happen down there. We did talk about, as part of our strategic priorities, that the board had discussed in November about having stuff under one roof. But there's actually functionalities that still need to happen down at that building on Lilac Avenue. So that still will occur that way.
And then one last question I was curious about, since we are now an official village, does this mean that we are going to be having our own village police or fire departments, or are we going to continue working with SAFER and like the Marathon County Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, we still have our joint agreement with the Village of Weston for SAFER. Nothing of that sorts is going to change. That partnership is still there. A lot of those agreements will continue. Yeah, we're working close with Marathon County Sheriff's Department, working with the sheriff in how we're working on staffing, and that relationship is going to continue. Matter of fact, the additional officer that we had talked about, I think they were working on trying to get the logo changed in time for the vehicle to make sure that we had it set up so that it said just Rib Mountain. Trying to work on that as well. But yeah, those are little things, and those things will. As far as logo changes and everything, that we're doing a little bit here and there as much as we can, like our website, etc. But going back to your original question regarding the sheriff's department with law enforcement, that relationship's going to continue. And matter of fact, that's what helped make the transition a lot easier going into being a village, is having those services already being provided, because otherwise the community would be forced to figure out what they're going to do. And going through what we're going through right now, I'd hate to be at that last moment trying to figure out what we're going to do. So it's good that we already had those relationships established.
That was all my questions, Mike. Anything else?
There we go. I think I'm good. Yeah, just where the election is going to be and what people need to know beforehand. That it's probably going to be the same spot. It's just going to be right there at the municipal center on September 5th, correct?
Yep.
I think
September.
you mean Village Hall, Mike.
Yes, it would be
Municipal
Village
Center,
Hall.
Village Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually call it the municipal center, so it'd be Village Municipal Center. And it would just be and just as a reminder, and because of the short time turnaround, we really only have in-person voting that week prior. That's really it, because that window really becomes short. Mm-hmm. Because of that. And I know that the clerk is working with the county clerk and getting absentee ballots. Again, everything is such crucial time frame on it that we're trying to get everything out in a very timely manner. So we actually last night discussed about sending out postcards to residents, just letting them know that we're not quite done yet. We got this one election coming up yet. And as part of that election, what they're doing is the president will run as president and would be on a 2-year term. What they're doing is the top 2 vote getters, because they're staying to a 5-person board. So the top 2 go getters will be set up to be in for the 2-year terms. The 2 least amount of vote getters would need if they would want to run. Again, they're serving only until April of 2024.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all the information I needed. So Mason, if you're good, then I think we're good here.
Yep, I am.
All right.
Very good.
Awesome. I
Thanks.
will